Welcome to another tutorial on audit command language. Today we're going to talk about profiling in ACL, and the first one we'll be talking about is profile. We also talk about classify. We talk about stratify, and then also summarize. Now all this command can be found under analyze. If you click on analyze, the first one we talk about is profile, which is here. The second one is classify. The third one is stratify, and the fourth one is summarize. Now maybe if we have the time, we'll talk about cross tabulate. So what are we going to do now? Profile is used to create a detailed summary of the data in a single field. Now I'm going to show you what that means very shortly. It provides information such as minimum, maximum values, absolute values, and some other values that are going to help us to understand the data better. Profile also allows you to create a histogram or chart to visualize the distribution of data in the field. Now let's have a quick look at how we can approach or run profile on our data. We go to analyze profile on from credit limit to rate. So I want to profile on credit limit up to rate. I say, oh no, I'm not adding all. Okay, so that's what I want to profile on, and I click OK. Now, like we said the other time, profile is used to create a detailed summary of the data in a single file. This is financial charges. We have a single field. You remember all these fields. Now, credit limit, fin charges, minimum payment due, new balance, past due amount, previous balance, rate. Okay, they were supposed to be in column, but when we profile on them, they form a single file just like this, having the total amount of credit limit. So if you want to quickly see the total credit limit for all our customers or for all our employees, we can easily see it in a single file. The absolute value, which in a sense also can be translated as the standard deviation. Then we have the minimum and the maximum value. So if we are looking for certain case studies and trying to see which customers has the highest or the maximum credit limit, then we can easily see it in a simple summary like this. We have summary for other fields too. So that is profile, and that is what it can give us when we run it. In other instance, we might just want to profile on let's say we just want the credit limit alone. So we say profile on credit limit, which is the only thing that we have here, and we click OK. OK again. So the same command that we just run now, command says profile on what? This field only, credit limit. Using this table, we got this. So it depends on what field or fields you want to profile on. Classify is used to group data based on specified criteria or values in one or more fields. It provides a summary of the data in each group, including count, percentage of records, and so on. Classify also allows you to create histogram charts and so on and so forth. Though it might be limited in a way here. Okay, so now let's see how Classify actually works. Now if you want to classify, now if we have this profile result or output before us. If you want to go back to this again, you can just click on this pin it down, but I don't need it. So what I'll do is I can leave it, or simply say right click and close. So I close it because I don't want that again. Now the second one we're talking about is classify. The classify command creates a profile of your table by grouping unique characters or character field values. Okay, now you can use the classify command to specify the character field upon which you want to base your analysis. You can also specify the fields for which you want to subtotal, and you can send your output to screen or graph or print it or to a file. So how do we classify in ACL? The same way, having our data open or our table open, we click on analyze, then we go to classify command, then classify on customer number. Then what do we want to show? After the customer number, we want card number, and let's just click on the rest and click OK. So if we have clicked OK, then we can now click OK here again. So this is the customer number that we used. This column here is what our classify command or classify table here is based upon. So we classify all this. Okay, we have a bonus as of 2002 here. We have card number, credit limit, financial charges, minimum payment due, and so on and so forth for this particular custom number or for this particular customer. So, and if you see the count here, it means that the transaction for this particular customer 051593 is 29. So there are 29 transactions, which forms 14.5% of the whole total of 100. And remember, if we go back to our credit cards metaphor file, we have 200 records. So, but it means that in that 200 records, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We only have 12 customer numbers, but the occurrence or they occur in different times, but the total is still 200 here. Now what we're doing here, we're not looking at a case study, so we're only looking at these profile commands. What do they do? How do we run them in ACL? That's just what we are trying to look on. So, but one thing you're gonna do when you're trying to classify on your data is you don't include fields like card number, because it's going to add all the card numbers, and we don't need all this. Okay, we don't need all the card numbers to be added together. So what we could have done was to exclude this card number. So let's do it again. I'll go back to this, analyze, classify. On is already selected. Then the fields, I want the totals on. That's why we have subtotal fields. Subtotal fields is just totals on certain fields, totals on credit limit, totals on fin charges, totals on days, totals on rates. So subtotal fields again. I'm not going to select this, like I said. If I want to select the subtotal field now, I only need credit limits up to rate. So I don't need this first two, and I'm gonna click on this arrow, okay, and say okay, and then okay. So you see those other two have been removed, the bonus and the summary or the total of our credit cards or card numbers. So we have this table before us using the command classify. So the explanation of this command is that we classify on customer number only, and that's why you see it in blue. Okay, and we subtotal on the first one is credit limit, the second one is fin charges, the third one is minimum payment due, the fourth one is new balance, and so on and so forth. And we say we should do what? We should save it only to screen, which means we are not saving it as a table which will appear here. We only want to see it. By the time we do another command, this one will go. But if you want it to stay, you can click on this pin to pin it down, so that even if you are doing another analysis, anyone you're doing is not going to remove what you have. And now let's test. Let's see what this customer number, let's see the table that brings about this. So what we have here is that there are certain number of tables that are hidden inside this, which is supposed to tally with this 29. Let's try to see if that is so. Okay, so we have this. If you count from here to this place, you should get 29. But if you look down here, you see the same question mark that we have seen in class before. This is saying how many. Now, instead of you going to analyze count record, you can just say Control 3 on your keyboard and just click OK. Right? So if you go back here again, you will see 29 out of 200. So this customer, okay, now actually the customer we're talking about, they are actually employees in Metaphor company. Okay, so this particular employee had access to all these credit cards. Can you see that now? To all the credit cards you have here, and there's so many different credit cards here, and you see how we are deriving insights, from our data. So it could have been that this particular customer, is only the same customer number or employee who is using all these cards. Maybe he has access to so many cards that we use in the business, or some other things might be happening. Now that's just one of the things that we can see from this table. If you want to remove the filter, because this is the filter, customer number equals 051593. If you want to remove it and make everything to be back again, just click on this remove filter. So we have remove filter, everything is back again. So let's go back to classify. Let's see one more. If I click on this, this is just how many? Control 3. Okay, it's 23. So the same thing happens here. This employee or customer number 503458, see all the credit cards that this man has access to. So it could have been allowed by the company, maybe, for different transactions and supplies and everything for the business. Now that is what Classify can do. Now I told you the other time that if I pin this here, it will stay even if I want to run another command. So, and the third one we try to see right now is called Stratify. Stratification, strata and so on, which means different levels. It's different from to classify. It's different from just profile. So what we want to do now is to stratify. And in stratifying, now this stratify command is used to group data into mutually exclusive categories based on one or more fields, and to generate summary statistics for each category. It can be used to examine how the data is distributed across different categories or segments. Now we're going to see what that means very shortly. So if I click on Stratify now, you're going to see that we have a Stratify on. What are we going to stratify on? Now, in other words, the Stratify command creates a profile of your table by grouping records into ranges based on a numeric field. Remember, based on a numeric number, that is number, a numeric field. For example, you can use the Stratify command to identify ranges with an unusually high number of transactions, such as multiple credit card transactions just below a spending authorization limit. So I want to see how Stratify is being used. If you want to close this table, you can just click on this and say close. Okay, but I want to let you see that it's going to stay even after we try to analyze using Stratify. The first thing you do is to go to Analyze, then you click on Stratify. Now you notice under Stratify on, even though we have many fields here, okay, even though we have many fields here, if you try to select two, I click this, I press shift, but it's not selecting two, which means we can only stratify on one field only. So I want to stratify on credit limit. Whether I select credit limit here or I go to this place and say credit limit, is the same process. Now you will notice here that I don't have anything, because in the process you will need a minimum and a maximum value. Now, but we have a problem because we can proceed here. If we try to, let me just do something. I select card number up to this. It doesn't matter what I select here, because we're not going to see it until we click on subtotal fields. So I'm clicking on subtotal fields and I'm selecting this again up to here. I click this arrow. Okay, so that's what I want to subtotal on. I click OK. Let me now click OK again. Now I have a problem. It's saying enter the range minimum value. So I have to go back. So what am I going to enter here? Now it could be a little bit it depends on what you want to enter here as your minimum and maximum value, but there's another way to go about it which will make your work easier. Now the reason I'm doing all this because I'm going to give you some works to do, or maybe in the form of assignment, maybe later. So I want you to see how you can use these commands. That's just the reason why we have these procedures being outlined for you here. So the first thing you do before you run your Stratify command is to go to Analyze, Statistical, then Statistics. Use statistics on the field you want to stratify on. So click OK. So that's why we have this. Now from here we have the lowest and the highest value, which also serves as the minimum and the maximum value. So we go back here and now click on Stratify. We stratify on what? Only one value, which is credit limit. So click OK. Then we subtotal on what? We subtotal on card number. We don't need to subtotal on card number because we're going to have that same issue of adding our card number together. So we start from credit limit, fin charges, minimum up to rates, and click this arrow and click OK. Now what do we have here? We have what? The minimum and the maximum value, and then intervals. Now we'll tell you what that interval is. Your interval can be 15, it can be any value depending on how you want to group your field which you are stratifying on. But let's leave it at 10 and click OK. So then we'll see what that 10 means. What that 10 means is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which means from 600, which is the minimum credit limit, to 18,000, we have divided it such a way that it's going to be. We have divided it such a way that it's going to be all 10 groups. So we have 600 to 2,339. You couldn't have done that yourself easily because trying to know where the first group stops and the next group starts and the next up to 18,000. So we are stratifying or grouping our credit limit based on this. So from 600 to 2,339, we have 12 counts. 12 counts of, it could be activities, it could be transactions. We'll see what that means. We have other things here. We have the financial charges, all these are totals of this. Let's click on this first one. Let's see. Okay, so the credit limit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 credit limits here, starting from 600 up to which one is the highest in this group? The highest is I think 2,200 in this group. Okay, so this are what we can obtain here. And if you want to see the command or the filter, this is the filter here. Okay, and it's telling you it's from everything that is greater or equal 600 and everything credit limit that is greater or equal 2339 or 2,339. So that's for that range. If you want to remove the filter, you can just click on this remove filter. Now go back to your result, Stratify. So we could do further investigation to know exactly what or who is holding this particular card number. The guy is 503458, and that's the only card that we see here. But we don't know if he occurs elsewhere. We can do that investigation maybe much later. Okay, or we can even check here. There's no credit card transaction here. Let's go back. Okay, it says 0. We can find any in here too. We have 1 here. There's 11 here. -2 here. This has the largest. So what's happening here? Oh, what is really happening here? Now let's check what we have here. Let's see how many. Control 3. We can click on OK. That's 92, of course. Okay. So we have all this. The credit limit runs to 9,000, 8,000, 7,900, and so on and so forth. So and the range of the employees or customer number falls into different values. So we have so many employees or customer numbers that falls into this range. So Stratify command creates a profile of your table by grouping records into ranges based on a numeric field. Let's try to choose another numeric field and see what we can obtain. Let me just close this. Let me try to be cautious. I have 92 out of 200 here, so let me click remove filter so that we can go back. So I want you to work on this assignment. So this is going to be our assignment 2. I want you to read it carefully. The case study is analyzing finance charges by previous balance. So I want you to walk through this and try to use the method that we employed in Stratify to solve this case study. So make sure the intervals is 10 and your output is on your screen, but you will have to save your results following this procedure. If you follow the procedure very well, you'll be able to save it. You either use Adobe PDF or Microsoft print to PDF, and make sure that you don't copy anyone.